Quantum manifestation works so effortlessly that most people struggle to believe it. It contradicts everything we've been conditioned to accept. We're raised in a world that worships effort, a world where success is earned, love must be chased, and healing is something you fight for. From childhood, we're taught to brace ourselves for struggle. But quantum physics reveals a reality that doesn't demand struggle at all. It requires stillness, clarity, and coherence. Here's the paradox. The simpler something truly is, the more the mind resists it. Why? Because the ego has been trained to measure its worth through hardship. If it's too easy, it must not be real. So when we encounter quantum manifestation, a process built on effortless alignment rather than force, we subconsciously push it away. We complicate it. We try to improve it. We turn it into a technique, a ritual, a checklist. We forget that the universe isn't responding to your effort. It's responding to your vibration. You've likely heard, if you want it badly enough, work harder. But quantum manifestation doesn't respond to desire, it responds to knowing. And the moment you convince yourself that something must require effort is the moment you energetically push it out of reach. The universe is not testing your strength, it's mirroring your frequency. The more cluttered your inner world, the doubts, the stories, the contradictions, the more fragmented the signal you send. And a fragmented signal cannot collapse a clear reality. Let's ground this in science. In quantum mechanics, coherence describes particles moving in a unified, harmonious state, amplifying each other, becoming exponentially more powerful when aligned. Your consciousness works exactly the same way. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions fall into coherence, you become a strong, uninterrupted signal that influences the field without effort, force, or manipulation. But coherence isn't created through effort, it emerges through clarity. And clarity arises when you release the mental noise, the doubt, and the resistance to ease itself. This resistance isn't your fault, it's programming. You've been taught that worth must be earned, that safety comes from control, that outcomes depend on effort. And yet, the most miraculous moments in your life likely happened when you weren't trying at all. You weren't trying when you met someone who changed your life. You weren't trying when the perfect opportunity showed up out of nowhere. In those moments, you were open, receptive, aligned. And because of that alignment, the field responded. That wasn't luck. That was quantum resonance, and it's trying to unfold for you now. But first, you must let go of the belief that struggle is required. And let's be clear, this isn't about avoiding action. It's about aligning before you act. It's about doing less with your hands and more with your energy. Manifestation has nothing to do with movement and everything to do with magnetism. You don't attract what you work hard for, you attract what you embody. Embodiment happens when you allow yourself to become the version of you who already has what you desire without striving, without chasing. So let me leave you with this. What if it was always meant to be easy? What if the simplicity of quantum manifestation isn't a shortcut, but the actual mechanics of the universe? What if the only barrier between you and your breakthrough is your refusal to accept ease? In this video, we're going to explore how this invisible resistance is formed and how to dissolve it, not through effort but through surrender to your highest aligned state. This isn't just a mindset shift, it's a vibrational shift. And it begins now. Let's get one thing clear. Simplicity in the quantum field is not passivity. It's not laziness. It's not spiritual bypass. It's not waiting around for magic to fix your life. Simplicity is clarity. It's energetic precision. And most importantly, it's the natural byproduct of deep alignment with the frequency of what you desire. In the language of quantum mechanics, simplicity is coherence, and coherence is the signature of all powerful manifestation. In classical physics, we're taught that force produces results. Push harder, move faster, exert more pressure. That's how we were trained to survive. But in the quantum world, energy follows a very different law. It flows through the path of least resistance. Think about that. Energy does not choose the hardest route. It doesn't reward struggle. It finds the opening and moves with elegance, speed, and fluidity. This means that in the quantum field, trying harder often leads to resistance, but relaxing into alignment opens the way. Now ask yourself, how often do you complicate your desires? You visualize what you want, and within seconds the mind begins to swarm with doubts. How will this happen? What if I'm not ready? What if it takes too long? That's not clarity. That's static. That's noise in the signal. And what does the quantum field respond to? Frequency. And frequency cannot be chaotic, it must be coherent. Simplicity is not the absence of thought. It's the mastery of thought. It's the moment you stop asking if your desire is possible and begin living from the place where it already is. Coherence, as explained in quantum physics, is when all parts of a system are in harmony. The same frequency, the same rhythm, the same intention. No contradictions. No conflict. When your thoughts, emotions, and expectations are vibrating in unity, your entire being becomes a magnetic beacon, and the universe has no choice but to reflect that signal back to you. But most people are incoherent. They say one thing, feel another, and expect something else entirely. That's not alignment. That's fragmentation. This is why simplicity is so powerful. It eliminates contradiction. When you simplify your manifestation process, you remove the clutter. You stop needing to understand every step. You stop needing to prove your worth. You stop analyzing the how and focus completely on the what and the who. What do I choose, and who do I become to match that reality? That's it, everything else is noise. And noise keeps you vibrating in confusion, which keeps your desires at a distance. Let's use an example. Imagine you're tuning an old radio. You turn the dial slowly and there's static, fuzz. A voice flickers in and out. Then suddenly, clarity. The music comes through loud and pure. That's what happens when your inner state hits coherence. That's what simplicity feels like. The station was always there. You just had to tune to it. In quantum manifestation, the station is your desired reality and the dial is your vibration. But simplicity requires trust. It requires you to drop the addiction to control. You don't need to control every detail, you need to align your signal. Because the truth is, most of your desires are already trying to reach you. They're already waiting, vibrating, echoing in the field. But your complexity, your need to force, to overthink, to micromanage, is creating resistance. It's like building a wall between you and what is already yours. Simplicity is not weakness, it's mastery. So, how do you embody this kind of simplicity? You begin with stillness. You give yourself permission to stop chasing. You allow your nervous system to feel safe without constant motion. Then you choose the version of you that already has the desire not as fantasy but as your identity. You speak as them. You walk as them. You make decisions from their frequency. You become that version now, fully and without hesitation. And the universe, bound by the laws of quantum resonance, must respond. Remember, complexity is a symptom of doubt. Simplicity is a sign of trust. The more you believe it has to be hard, the more you'll create a hard path. But when you realize that energy flows where alignment goes, you stop doing more and start being more. You align, you receive, and you finally see that the universe was never holding anything back. It was just waiting for your signal to become clear. Let's continue this journey, because next I'll show you how your own mind, conditioned by survival and fear, is creating friction that blocks your natural ability to manifest, and how a small internal shift can unlock your greatest expansion. This is more than a mindset. This is quantum simplicity in action. In quantum mechanics, there's a word that redefines how we understand manifestation: coherence. Coherence is when multiple elements, particles, waves, or systems come into perfect alignment, functioning not as isolated fragments but as one single harmonious entity. When coherence is achieved, energy becomes focused, powerful, and directed. It doesn't scatter. It doesn't get lost in noise. It creates outcomes that are consistent, reliable, and potent. And this, at its core, is what makes manifestation effortless, not because you're sitting back and doing nothing, but because your energy is finally unified. Let's zoom in for a moment. Imagine particles in a chaotic system, each vibrating in its own direction, colliding with one another, dispersing energy. That's what an incoherent system looks like: noisy, inefficient, unfocused. Now imagine those same particles suddenly synchronizing, moving in harmony, aligning with a shared rhythm. What happens? The energy intensifies. The system begins to self-organize. The outcome becomes not only predictable but powerful. This is what happens inside your consciousness when you achieve inner coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and body vibrate as one. The challenge: most people are incoherent. They think they want something: wealth, love, peace, but their emotions tell a different story: fear, doubt, scarcity. And their actions follow that emotional signature. They say, "I believe in abundance," but live in panic about bills. They say, "I trust the universe," but obsessively check their manifestations, needing proof. This is not alignment. This is energetic conflict. And the quantum field, which operates on resonance, not on language, reflects that incoherence perfectly. It doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to what you are. Now, here's the game-changing insight. Your manifestation isn't blocked because you're not doing enough. It's blocked because your signal is fragmented. You're sending mixed frequencies into a field that only mirrors back coherence. And so, to the field, your energy says, "I want, but I don't believe. I hope, but I don't feel worthy. I ask, but I don't allow." That's why manifestation feels difficult, because incoherence is a noisy signal. It weakens the vibrational field around you. It dilutes your power to collapse a specific outcome. But when you simplify, when you clean up the noise, everything shifts. Simplicity in this context means agreement. It means choosing one frequency and sticking to it. It means your inner world stops debating with itself. Your thoughts become clear. Your emotions become calm. Your body stops operating in survival mode. And this trifecta, mind, heart, body, becomes a coherent field. That's when the quantum responds, not slowly, not someday, but immediately, because your reality is no longer resisting itself. This is the science behind why less truly is more. Not because you're doing fewer things, but because every movement of your energy becomes precise. You no longer take 5 steps forward and 4 steps back. You no longer waste energy in mental loops, emotional turbulence, or physical burnout. Your life becomes elegant, efficient, aligned. You stop trying to manifest and begin being the manifestation. And the moment you embody it fully, the quantum field reflects that embodiment with speed and precision. Let's take it even deeper. In neuroscience, the concept of coherence also applies to brainwave states. When your brain is operating in high beta, stress, overthinking, survival, your brainwaves are scattered. But when you drop into alpha or theta, relaxation, visualization, intuition, the brain waves become more synchronized. Studies show that this synchronization enhances your ability to influence the subconscious mind, which is the gateway to the quantum. In other words, coherence is not just a spiritual principle, it's a measurable neurological state. And here's where the spiritual truth meets the science. When you stop over-efforting and start aligning, your body receives the signal that you're safe. The nervous system regulates. The heart rate stabilizes. Hormones like cortisol drop. Your immune system strengthens. Your intuition sharpens. You enter a physiological state of allowing. And in that state, the state of coherence, you become a portal for quantum creation. You are no longer forcing your future. You are allowing your timeline to catch up with who you've already become. So now you see, simplicity is not about doing less and waiting for magic. It's about stepping into energetic congruence. It's about becoming the clear, clean, consistent signal that the quantum cannot ignore. And when you do that, when your entire being says yes to one timeline, you collapse it. Not someday, but now. Because the quantum field is not bound by time. It responds to vibration, and your vibration becomes law the moment it becomes coherent. In the next part of our journey, I'll show you how to apply this practically. Not with force, but with frequency. You'll discover how to access the specific emotional and mental states that generate coherence in real time, and how to use them as levers to shift your entire reality. Stay close. This is where simplicity becomes power. Let me offer you something rare in the world of manifestation advice. Simplicity that actually works. Not a wishful idea, not a motivational slogan, but a structure grounded in quantum principles and real-life results. Because if we've learned anything so far, it's this: complexity is not power, clarity is. So in this part, I want to give you a 3-step alignment protocol, not a rigid method to follow, but an energetic upgrade you can embody every single day. These shifts will recalibrate your relationship with desire, time, and trust. And that recalibration is what allows manifestation to move from theory into your physical timeline. The first shift is this: choose clarity over control. Sounds simple, but don't underestimate it. Most people are addicted to control, especially spiritual seekers. They say they trust the universe, but what they're really doing is micromanaging the timeline. What should I do next? Is this the right sign? Maybe I should visualize again. That energy feels like chaos to the quantum field. It feels like noise. It feels like contradiction. But when you're clear on what you want, and more importantly, why you want it, you emit a clean, magnetic signal. The quantum doesn't require your constant intervention. It requires a coherent request. So once you've asked, once you've chosen, stop tinkering. Stop rescripting, stop controlling, let it be. The second shift: drop the timeline. If you've ever said, "I need this by next week," congratulations, you just exited the quantum field. Because the quantum doesn't operate on deadlines. It operates on frequencies, and that frequency, ironically, is timeless. Think about it: when you're truly aligned with something, do you feel desperate to force its arrival? No. You trust it's coming. You know it's yours. Urgency is the energy of lack disguised as strategy. It creates pressure, stress, and a narrowing of perception, all of which push the desired reality further away. But when you detach from when and focus on who you are becoming in the process, you collapse time itself. Because from the quantum's perspective, readiness is the only condition for manifestation. And readiness has nothing to do with dates, it has everything to do with coherence. And the third shift, perhaps the most radical of all: trust your first alignment. That initial moment when you felt the desire, when it lit something up in your chest, when you said, "Yes, that's it," that moment was enough. That was the energetic request. The field received it. The code was sent. But what do most people do next? They repeat it again and again. They journal it, chant it, visualize it daily, not because they're aligned, but because they're afraid. Afraid it didn't work, afraid it's not enough. And here's the paradox. Every time you repeat what was already sent, you're telling the field you don't trust it. That lack of trust downgrades your signal. It's like sending a radio transmission and then following up every 5 minutes to ask, "Did you get it? Are you sure?" That's not coherence, that's resistance. So what if, just for today, you allowed it to be easy? What if you stopped doing rituals out of fear and started resting in the vibration of certainty? Because quantum simplicity is not laziness, it's elegance, it's energetic mastery. The more often you can return to your first alignment, the original signal, undiluted and clear, the more powerfully it builds. You don't need to create momentum through effort. You generate momentum through purity of frequency. And yes, this goes against almost everything we've been taught. We've been programmed to think repetition equals commitment, that practice makes perfect, that if we don't keep asking, the universe might forget. But in the quantum model of reality, asking once from a place of aligned certainty is more powerful than asking 100 times from a place of energetic doubt. This is not blind faith. This is quantum physics. The observer collapses the outcome based on the state of observation. When the observation is pure, aligned, and undisturbed, reality responds instantly. So let's break this loop today. Let's declare together that we're stepping out of complexity and into ease. If any of this is resonating, not just as an idea, but as a felt sense in your body, type in the comments right now. I allow it to be easy. This is not a casual affirmation. This is a command, a vibrational choice, a moment of coherence that reprograms your field. When you do this, when you truly surrender the need to manage the process, you unlock something extraordinary. You stop matching the energy of effort and start emitting the frequency of trust. You begin to embody a truth the quantum has always been waiting for you to remember. You don't manifest by forcing, you manifest by becoming. In the next minutes, we'll dive into the real reason quantum manifestation feels so fast when it works, and why the shift doesn't require you to change who you are, but to remember what you've always been. Keep going. The energy you're stepping into is already shifting your timeline. Here's a paradox most people never realize. The timeline you're trying to reach has already been chosen. Not because of fate or destiny or some pre-written cosmic script, but because the moment you desired it, it began existing in the quantum field as a real, tangible potential. What most people don't understand is that quantum manifestation isn't about creating from scratch, it's about tuning in. The frequency is already broadcasting. You're not inventing it, you're matching it. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. You've already tuned into that reality before, probably multiple times. You've had flashes of clarity, gut instincts, synchronicities that felt too perfect to be random. Those moments weren't anomalies, they were quantum alignments. The problem is, as soon as your mind stepped in and whispered, "This is too easy," you tuned out. You snapped back into old programming. You dismissed the flow as coincidence, and the field, like a mirror, simply reflected your uncertainty back to you. Simplicity is not the enemy, it's the doorway. The mind wants process. The quantum wants permission. The universe doesn't need you to understand every mechanism. It just needs your coherence. When you begin to truly allow things to feel easy, light, natural, you are not lowering your standards or avoiding growth. You are stepping into the vibrational bandwidth where your higher self already lives. And from there, alignment is effortless. Let's make this even more clear. You're not chasing your future, you're remembering it. You're realigning with a version of yourself who already made the decision, already lived the breakthrough, already integrated the lesson. That's what it means to shift timelines, not to force a new outcome into existence, but to harmonize your energy with what's already true. This is not spiritual fantasy. This is quantum reality. All timelines exist simultaneously. You don't need to build the one you want. You just need to stop resisting it. And what is resistance truly? It's the story you tell yourself that says, "This is too good to be true." That's the voice of programming. That's the echo of a world that told you worth is earned through struggle. But here's the truth. Your value isn't measured by how hard you work for it. Your worth was never in question. The moment you release the need to suffer, you step into the timeline that reflects your true power. Every time you surrender to simplicity, every time you say, "I'm allowed to receive with ease," you rise closer to the vibration of your higher self. That version of you doesn't hustle. It doesn't beg the universe. It doesn't doubt its alignment. It simply exists in frequency, in flow, in certainty. And in that state, manifestation becomes natural. You don't try, you don't push, you become. This is the real secret behind quantum manifestation. It's not a magic trick. It's not a manipulation of energy. It's an act of remembrance, of coming back into resonance with the version of you who already has the thing you desire. When you say yes to simplicity, you say yes to that version. And when your vibration says yes, the universe echoes it instantly. So pause with me for a moment and feel this in your body. The path you're walking isn't new, it's remembered. You're not lost, you're remembering the coordinates of your soul's frequency. You're not starting from scratch, you're simply aligning with the energy of what's already yours. This is how you break the loop, not by doing more but by becoming quieter, clearer, truer. If you're feeling this click inside, like something just landed deeper than words, take a breath. Let that breath be your signal. Let it be your quantum permission slip to stop fighting and start flowing. And if you're ready to lock this in, write this in the comments right now. I remember my timeline. Because that's all this truly is, not learning, not chasing, just remembering. And the more you do, the more the universe organizes itself around your frequency. You'll see the signs. You'll feel the shift. And eventually, you'll stop wondering when it will happen because you'll realize it already did. Stay with me, because what we'll explore next is the final step that ties everything together. It's where simplicity turns into power, and power becomes your natural state of being. By now, you may feel it not just as an idea, but as a subtle shift in your body, your breath, your field. There's a resonance moving through you, a quiet click that says, yes, this is the way. And that's not by accident. That sensation isn't motivational fluff, it's vibrational confirmation. Because the truth is, quantum manifestation doesn't arrive like a lightning strike. It whispers through alignment. It arrives as a recognition, a remembering. You didn't stumble upon this message by coincidence. You were drawn here by frequency. And something inside you, maybe long before your conscious mind caught up, already knew it was time. Time to stop forcing. Time to stop chasing. Time to stop believing that struggle is a prerequisite for receiving. The universe has never required that of you. It only required your coherence, your clarity, your willingness to let it be simple. And that's the final shift. Stop intellectualizing manifestation and start becoming the frequency of it. Not as something you turn on occasionally when you're feeling spiritual, but as a baseline, a way of being, your default vibration. Let this be your anchoring truth. I allow it to be easy. Say it again and let your body soften into it. This isn't laziness. This isn't avoidance. This is quantum intelligence. This is how nature works. A tree doesn't force itself to grow. A wave doesn't question its direction. The universe expands not by pushing, but by being in harmony with itself. And you too are part of that same quantum intelligence. You just forgot, but now you remember. If this video stirred something in you, if it felt like more than words, if it activated something within, I have something to help you deepen and stabilize this frequency in your life. It's a guidebook I wrote specifically for moments like this. Not for those who want more information, but for those who are ready for transformation. It's called Awaken Your Quantum Power. Inside, you'll find 7 vibrational principles that align your body, mind, and field into coherence so you can stop trying and start receiving. You'll learn how to activate your natural magnetic field, hold the signal of your higher self, and collapse timelines with less effort and more clarity. If you felt the shift in today's message, this guidebook is your next step. You can find the link in the pinned comment below. Here's the real truth. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not late. Everything you've asked for is already in motion, not because you forced it, but because you're finally matching it. The more you relax into this alignment, the faster life reflects it. You are no longer chasing. You are aligning. And that shift, that's what changes everything. So as we close today, take one last breath with me. Inhale gently. Exhale and let go. You don't need to control. You don't need to repeat. You don't need to struggle. You just need to become. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay light, stay aligned, and remember, you were never meant to struggle to receive. You were meant to resonate and allow.